A Canadian is spending $13,000 a week in Mexico hoping to save his son's life. Mike Masotti's 18-year-old son, Justin, has a rare form of brain cancer. Since October, he's been receiving experimental and expensive treatment in a Tijuana clinic, a treatment that is not available in Ontario, and the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care has refused to pay. Mike Masotti joins us now, and thank you very much for your time. Tell us to begin with, Mike, how is your son doing day to day?
He's doing very well. When he came here in October, he was bedridden, close to death. The doctors told us that in Hamilton that he had a few months left. And now he's walking. He's eating all his meals. He's put on about 50 pounds. He's doing very well.
Wow. So tell me what the doctors said at the time of his diagnosis. You've indicated they said he only had a couple of months, but what were they offering in terms of any treatment?
They offered chemotherapy. That's when he first was diagnosed a year ago. But they said they were hoping that he would, this was back in January of 2016, and they were hoping he would make it to the summer. That's what they were hoping at that time. So we refused that type of diagnosis, and here we are today.
And how did you get there? How did you find out about this experimental treatment?
Well, when Justin's health deteriorated very badly in September, we started frantically looking all over the world for alternative cancer treatments. We found a number of them in Germany, but none of them would take him in 7x24. So we had to find a place that would also take him in and look after him as well, because he was having 2 seizures a day. He lost his eyesight because of the seizures. And we found this place, and we had to bring him down in an air ambulance, which cost $40,000. And fortunately, he didn't have any seizures on the plane, and we made it down here, and here we are today.
And what is the treatment?
There's about 15 types of treatments. He is doing chemotherapy, but he's also doing this DPT therapy, which is a DMSO, which isn't allowed in the hospitals in Ontario. And that actually, what that does is allow the chemotherapy or any type of therapy to get past the blood barrier in the brain, and it allows it to get right to the cancer cells and not hurt the regular cells as much.
And how are you managing, at $13,000 a week, the flight down there, all of this, and you're down there with him, so at the moment you're not working. How are you managing financially?
We're close to having to come home, but we borrowed over $300,000 for a line of credit, and we have a GoFundMe set up, and we've received over $100,000. If it wasn't for the Hamilton community, all the people that have donated through the GoFundMe and various fundraisers, we still wouldn't be down here getting the treatment.
And Mike, I know you were hoping that there would be some coverage, on the Ontario side. And Ontario doesn't fund, experimental treatment, but has there been any headway in talking to any of the officials?
No headway at all. None whatsoever. They rejected, we had to fill out forms, out-of-country forms in October. And it took us about 2 months to get the forms filled out and get a doctor's signature, and then it was still rejected anyways. We weren't told by the government we weren't told by anyone that we had to fill out these forms before we came down to Mexico. That's why, excuse me.
Yes, of course.
That's why that's one of the reasons why we didn't get the funding, was because we were late with the application, which is ridiculous when we didn't even know about it. And the other reason is because they say it's experimental.
Right. So you're not holding out much hope of getting some money that way anyway.
Very little hope in getting money. We do have one last hope. It's a Health Services Review Board, which we have a hearing tomorrow with a lawyer that is helping us pro bono. And but the odds are against us big time on that.
Mike, we certainly glad to hear that your son is doing, better day to day. That's the good news. We'll keep in touch with you, though, and thank you kindly for your time.
Thank you very much.